All right, welcome back. I hope you're all having a great start to your week. Today we're continuing our RBT exam practice question series, where we're going through 10 RBT questions and breaking them down, how I think you should think about them when you take your actual exam. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Please like and subscribe if you're enjoying these videos. If you're looking for practice materials, please check out rbtexamreview.com. We've helped out thousands of RBTs at this point, and we're hoping to help you as well. We offer 3 practice exams, a task list study guide. Our combo pack comes with everything and flashcards. It's our best deal. And then, of course, we have our competency study guide as well. So be sure to check out all of those materials. We had some great feedback this week. A lot of new RBTs. Crystal, she passed her RBT exam. 35 minutes left. Love that. Means she put in the time and the effort and the work. And then Conscious Notary was able to start their dream job. So very happy to help them. Looking forward to helping you as well. Keep those questions coming through email or comments. Other than that, keep working hard, keep studying hard. Let's get right to our questions. Question 1. Greg and Brenda just had a baby. Every night, the baby will start to cry between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m. Only when the baby is picked up will the crying stop. Tonight, Greg and Brenda agree they will not pick up the baby once the crying starts. What type of intervention are Greg and Brenda attempting? Okay, so pretty straightforward. A behavior question. We are looking for the intervention that Greg and Brenda are attempting, which is not picking up the baby once the crying starts. So previously, baby would cry. Greg and Brenda would pick up the baby, and in response, right, the baby would stop crying. Okay, so picking up the baby was acting as a way to get the baby to stop crying. Okay, so the baby would receive that reinforcement of Greg and Brenda. Now Greg and Brenda aren't doing that anymore. So what are they doing? When you stop providing reinforcement, okay, for previously reinforced behavior, what is that called? Is that an antecedent intervention? Well, no, because this is obviously some sort of consequence, okay? Because they're doing it in response to baby crying. They're not delivering reinforcement. So this is a consequence intervention. Is this extinction? Yes. A previously reinforced behavior no longer receives reinforcement. Picking up was reinforcement. They're not going to pick up anymore. So they're putting the behavior on extinction. B looks like our answer. Always read all of your answer choices. Okay, that's key, especially when you're studying. Understand why the other answers are wrong. Okay, is this punishment? No, extinction is not a punishment procedure. Okay, they are different. Extinction, again, is not a punishment procedure. And then reinforcement, they're trying to remove reinforcement, right? They're trying to stop reinforcement. So Greg and Brenda are attempting extinction, okay, to try to prevent the crying from starting. Data collection is an essential part of any treatment plan. Which of the following is not something RBTs should do when preparing for data collection? All right, so this is the very start of our task list, okay? Preparing for data collection. It's essential. Data collection is part of your job. It's a major part of your job. Other than implementation, it's probably the most important part of your job. So you should always be prepared for data collection. What does that involve? That involves things like gathering required materials, reading session notes, getting ready for programs you're going to run, asking any questions for your supervisor, okay? This question wants to know, which of the following is not something you should do to prepare? So let's take a look. A, read session notes from previous sessions. That is something you should absolutely do, right? Especially if you're on a team with multiple RBTs. The only way you're going to know, unless you talk with the other RBTs, what happened at the other sessions is by reading session notes. So by reading session notes, you're able to identify strategies and things you might do during your session. So A is something you should do. B, once they arrive at the client's house, they should read through notes and skill targets. Okay, so should you read through notes and skill targets? Yes. Should you do it once you get to the client's house? No. This should be done prior to getting to the client's house. Once you arrive at the client's house, you should be ready to start session. All the preparation occurs before session, before you get to the house. So when you get to the house, you can start. Most of our clients have very limited hours, okay? They might only get 10 hours a week. We need to make all those hours count. So if you get to the client's house and you take 30 minutes to set up, you're wasting that client's time. Preparation should occur before session. Okay, so B looks like our answer. We're looking for the best answer, so let's read C and D to make sure. So C, identify target behaviors prior to starting session. Perfect, right? Before you start your session, what are you targeting? D, bring any materials needed for data collection. Yes, right? Pencils, paper, timers, computers, iPads, whatever you need, have it ready prior to session. So B, because yes, you should be read through session notes and skill targets, but that should occur before the client's house. Preparation for data collection should occur before you get to session. All right, use the table below to answer the question. You are assigned to use whole interval data to track your client's on-task behavior. Based on the data, how many responses would you record? Okay, so let's look at our graph. We know we're doing some sort of interval recording. We have 6 intervals of 10 seconds each. Okay, we're using whole interval data. What does that tell us? It tells us that the behavior needs to occur for the entire interval. How long is our interval? 10 seconds. So the behavior has to occur for 10 seconds each interval. How many responses are we going to record? Okay, before you dive into any graphing or charts or anything like that, make sure you understand what you're looking for. Okay, we're looking at whole interval data for 10 seconds each. So first interval, 10 seconds, time on task, 10 seconds. Did it happen the whole time? Yes, good. What about 20 seconds? It only happened 8 seconds during the second interval. Okay, does not count. Third interval, again, time on task, 10 seconds. It occurred that whole time. That is a response. Now our last 3 intervals, we have 7 seconds, 7 seconds, and 8 seconds. Okay, do any of those count as responses? Not when we're using whole interval data. So based on this data, based on our 10-second intervals, how many responses do we record? We're only going to record 2 because only during 2 intervals did the behavior happen the whole time, the first one and the third one. So 2 is our answer. If we were using partial interval data, how many responses would we record? Well, we would record 6 responses because during partial interval, if the behavior occurs at all, right, it's a response. And the behavior did occur during every interval, but it only occurred during the whole time for 2 of them. Okay. Go through this question a few times if you're not quite understanding discontinuous measurement, right? Remember, whole interval, behavior happens the whole interval. Partial interval, if it happens at all. Okay. The following behavior definition was written after an initial assessment. Bobby will hit others. Hitting is any instance of Bobby swinging his fist or his open hand and making contact with either a peer or an adult. This behavior usually occurs after he is told no, and the consequence is usually timeout. This behavior occurs to gain access to Bobby's favorite toys. In this scenario, Bobby being told no is considered what? All right, so this is a very thorough behavior definition. It's a good behavior definition. It includes all the components we would probably need to be able to track this behavior. The question is asking us, what, in this scenario, what is Bobby being told no? Okay, so what term are we using for this? Well, let's look, okay? The behavior usually occurs after he is told no, okay? So what do we consider what happens before the behavior? Is it the antecedent, the consequence, topography, or the function? Well, we know the function is why the behavior occurs, okay? So why is the behavior occurring? To gain access to Bobby's favorite toys. The topography is what the behavior looks like. What is our topography? Well, it's any instance of Bobby swinging his fist or open hand and making contact. It's what the behavior looks like. So we know C and D are out. The consequence, what is the consequence? The consequence is timeout. Therefore, Bobby being told no is what? What's the antecedent? The antecedent is what happens before the behavior. So before Bobby engages in hitting, he's typically told no. That's our antecedent. The consequence is Bobby is given timeout. The topography is the instance of Bobby swinging his fist or open hand. And the function is to gain access to toys. Okay, so that's all part of a behavior definition. Once again, antecedent, what happens before the behavior. Consequence, what happens after. Topography, what the behavior looks like, function, why the behavior occurs. Very straightforward once you understand what each of these terms mean and why I always stress to you, learn your terms, learn your definitions. Okay, it's going to make the test much, much easier. This question is nearly impossible if you don't know your terms and definitions. If you do, it's one of the easiest questions on the exam. So our answer again, the answer C then. During math class, Katie asked Erin for help with her math homework, even though Katie already knows the answer. The function of Katie asking for help is most likely what? Okay, I had Mean Girls on the brain. I love that movie. So we have Katie asking Erin for help with her math homework, even though Katie is a math whiz, she knows the answer. Okay, what is Katie trying to do? Well, we know, right? Behavior happens typically to gain something or to get rid of something. Is Katie trying to get rid of anything? No, right? She's not trying to escape anything. Okay. Is Katie doing this because it feels good and there's no one else involved? No, right? The key with automatic sensory behavior, right? So automatic and sensory are the same thing. I get that question a lot. Automatic and sensory, those functions are the same exact thing. The key with automatic and sensory, okay, is it's not socially mediated, meaning there's nobody else involved, right? If someone else is involved, the behavior cannot be automatic and sensory. That's the trick, okay? In this case, who else is involved? Erin, right? So it can't be automatic sensory. That leaves us with tangible and attention. Is Katie trying to obtain a tangible here? Not apparently, right? There's no item or object it looks like she wants. It looks like she wants Erin's attention, okay? So the hypothesis is the function of Katie asking Erin for help is most likely attention. And that's how you're going to work through functions, okay? You're really just giving your best guess, your hypothesis, okay? But on the exam, function questions, they're going to give you enough information to make a good guess, right? So remember, escape, we're trying to get rid of something, okay? Get out of something. Automatic sensory, nobody else can be involved. It has to be only the client or the learner, okay? Tangible, we're trying to get an item. Attention, we're trying to gain attention. Katie is simply trying to gain Erin's attention by asking for help with her math homework. After an initial interview and a direct observation, your BCBA is ready to start treatment for your new client. But before the BCBA is ready to implement her behavior plan, she asks you to take data on the behavior and not provide any consequences. What type of data are you taking? All right, so this is a hard question. The way it's worded, it's vague, it's tricky, okay? But it has to do with some sort of data collection, okay? When is the data occurring? The data is occurring before the behavior plan goes into place, okay? Additionally, you're not providing any consequences. So if we just want to get a general idea of how often the behavior occurs, right, without providing consequences and without intervention, what is that called? Data taken before intervention occurs is called what? Are you taking skill acquisition data? No, this is some sort of behavior data, okay? Obviously some sort of behavior plan to reduce it. This is not a skill acquisition program. Are you taking functional data? Are we trying to determine the function here? No, we're not providing consequences. We are simply observing, taking data before intervention starts, okay? So a very specific type of data. Are you taking indirect data? Well, indirect data is data taken through interviews and checklists, things like that. You are actually observing the client, so it cannot be indirect. This is direct data. That leaves us with baseline data. Baseline data, okay, is data taken before intervention starts, before teaching occurs, right? So data before we do any sort of intervention. We want to know where the behavior is before we help, okay? And that's what we're doing here. Before the behavior plan, not providing any consequences, you are taking baseline data. Again, kind of a tricky worded question, right? But it's more to help you understand what baseline data actually is. After we get baseline data, then we implement the behavior plan and we start taking data on that, right? On that after the behavior plan. This is going to show us, is our plan working? Okay. Data prior to the plan, we compare it to data when the plan is implemented, and it's going to tell us, okay, is our plan working? Is it not? So you are taking baseline data. All right, throwback question. One of my favorite questions because I think they ask it a lot. Okay, what is the most common graph used in applied behavior analysis? Super, super simple question. Okay, is it a standard acceleration chart, a bar graph, a scatter plot, or a line graph? Well, it's not a standard acceleration chart. Okay, that has to do with frequency. Scatter plot has to do with kind of times of days and associations. Okay, bar graph is comparing amounts typically. Line graph is what we're looking for. The most common graph used in applied behavior analysis is a line graph. You can use these other charts. They are used in ABA, but the most common form is going to be a line graph where you're plotting data points on X and Y axes and we're drawing data paths, okay? Super simple question, right? But I haven't used it in a while, and I think it's important to refresh your memory because I think this comes up a lot, okay? So all you need to know, most common graph, line graph. This is a 5-10 second question on the exam. Answer it, move on. You are a graduate assistant at the university you attend, and you also participate in an education clinic. A different key card is required to access the graduate assistant office and the education clinic classroom, but the key cards look identical. You decide you will put a red sticker on the graduate assistant key card and a green sticker on the clinic key card. The stickers function as what? Okay, so this is a scenario I found myself in because I have two key cards that look identical, right? They're white key cards, and I'm constantly switching, trying to figure out which key card is which, okay? If you put stickers on them though, right, it's going to do what? It's going to help you discriminate and remember what key card accesses what room. So the stickers are functioning as what? Are the stickers reinforcement? Well, no, the stickers are an antecedent, right? The response is using your key card. The stickers occur before you use your key card as an antecedent, okay, to help you choose the right card. So really the stickers are functioning as prompts, right? They're visual prompts to help you identify and discriminate between cards, right? Antecedent intervention, you put the stickers on. You now know the red sticker is your grad assistant office. The green sticker is the clinic key card, okay? Prompts, very simple, boom, 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 and you never have to worry about using the wrong card again. They're not shaping trainers. Yeah, there's no such thing. One, and you're not shaping any behavior here. And it's not naturalistic, obviously, because it's very contrived, right? Your stickers are put there for a reason, okay? We're not using naturalistic interventions. The stickers are simply functioning as prompts to help you discriminate between key cards. Timothy, an RBT, is assigned to work with a client at a client school. The client is intelligent, but the teachers are having a difficult time motivating the client to complete their work. The client will typically put their head on the desk when given worksheets or other tasks that require writing. The behavior occurs to escape the worksheet. What do you think Timothy should do first? Okay, so typically what will we do first when looking at a behavior? We would look for the function. Well, we know the function, right? The behavior occurs to escape the worksheet. So if we look at our answer choices, we can eliminate D. We don't need to use data to determine the function. We already know the function. So let's use some of our other clues and information. It says the client is intelligent, but they're having a difficult time motivating the client to complete their work. Okay, so motivation, right? What do we need? We need something to get the client going. We need some sort of reinforcer, okay? Something the client's willing to work for. How are we going to identify that? Are we going to implement a punishment procedure? Well, no, we would never jump to punishment, especially in this situation, okay? Nothing here calls for punishment, right? The client is simply just putting their head on the desk, unmotivated, okay? We need to find something to motivate the client. So we are not implementing a punishment procedure. What about implementing a reinforcement procedure? Well, absolutely, right? But before we can do that, we need to actually identify reinforcers, okay? We need motivators. And before we can do that, okay, what do we need to do? We need to identify preferences. So we're going to do what? We're going to conduct a preference assessment, right? We determine the function. Now we conduct preference assessments to figure out what the client likes. After we figure out what the client likes, we will take those items and figure out which items are reinforcing. Then we'll implement a reinforcement procedure and try to increase Timmy's working on his task, okay? So what should Timothy do first? he should conduct a preference assessment. Okay, so key here is on the exam, they will give you enough information to answer the questions, but you just need to use the relevant information, right? The relevant information here is teachers having difficult time motivating the client and the fact we already know the function. So what are we going to do first? We will conduct a preference assessment. April is a 15-year-old girl who spends her school days in a general education setting. April participates in sports, plays the piano, and has a group of friends she hangs out with. April receives ABA to help her communication. Yesterday, April's boyfriend broke up with her. As an RBT, is this something you should mention to your supervisor before your session? All right, so this is a interesting question, okay, because it's kind of a reminder, right, that our clients are just kids, right? They're human, they're just like us, right? Things that happen in their lives affect them, right? And so that's going to affect our session in some way. Question wants to know, should you mention this to your supervisor? Well, let's see. A, no, what happens outside of session is irrelevant to your session. Well, we know that's absolutely not true, right? We have setting events, we have motivating operations. Anything can happen, can affect our client, okay? Whether it's irrelevant or not is up to us. But something like this, we know, you know, it's for a 15-year-old for anybody really being broken up with is a big deal, right? So there's a chance it's going to affect her, okay? B, no, we can't assume this will impact April's behavior. Well, we can't assume it, okay, but you know, we can at least mention it, right? Because if we go back and we have some bad sessions, we can go back and say, well, April is going through a difficult time, okay? So C, yes, we will know this have an emotional impact on April. We can't know that. We can't measure the emotional impact. So we can't say for sure it will, okay? We can assume it will. We just can't say we know it for sure. That leaves us with D. Yes, we should report variables that might impact the client. That is ripped straight from the task list, right? Report variables that might impact the client. This is something that could certainly impact April's behavior and is something we should mention. So our answer here is D. All right, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please like and subscribe. Check out all of our study materials at rbtexamreview.com. Any questions or comments, email me, leave them below. Happy to help. Can't wait to help you pass your exam. Keep working hard, keep studying hard. I'll see you soon.